Hey there, folks, grab a coffee and settle in, because I've got a wild story to tell you. One that starts with me floating in my own lake, minding my own business, only to have the sheriff roll up like I'm some kind of outlaw. My name's Tom, and this is about how I took on the pettiest tyrant you'll ever meet, a woman named Linda Harris, who thought she could control the water in my backyard. Picture this. I'm out there on my dock at sunset, the air thick with pine and the loons singing their haunting song across the water, when suddenly sirens slice through the peace like a chainsaw through butter. I'm dripping wet, standing on my own property in rural Tennessee, staring at Deputy Carter, who's holding a citation and looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. "Sorry, Tom," he says, scratching his neck. "HOA complaint, $1,000 fine for unauthorized lake activity." Behind him, there's Linda, arms crossed, that fake smile plastered on her face, eyes cold as a winter creek. I'm holding this piece of paper, thinking, Linda, I've owned this lake since before your McMansion was a blueprint. My granddad dug this spring-fed beauty in '58, and now you're telling me I can't swim in it? Oh, honey, you just poked the wrong bear. Let me back up. 3 years ago, I lost my wife, Emily, to a brutal fight with cancer. We were married 25 years, and when she left, it felt like someone carved out half my heart. The grief was a weight I couldn't shake, that kind where you wake up and the world feels wrong, like the air's too heavy to breathe. So I left my job as a city budget analyst, packed up, and moved to this 4-acre slice of heaven I inherited from my granddad. It's got this crystal-clear lake, surrounded by pines that smell like Christmas, and every morning, the mist dances on the water like it's got a secret to tell. That lake became my sanctuary, my way to keep going, sipping coffee from Emily's old chipped mug, watching trout snap at dragonflies. It was just me, the quiet, and the ghosts of better days. Then Linda Harris showed up, like a storm cloud in designer heels. In 2020, some hotshot developer bought the land next to mine and started building creekside estates, 50 oversized houses that popped up faster than weeds in a garden. Suddenly, my peaceful mornings were drowned out by bulldozers and the stench of diesel creeping through the pines. Linda rolled in from California, driving a shiny SUV with plates that read Boss LDY. Her blonde hair screaming salon bills bigger than my grocery budget. Within months, she'd clawed her way to HOA president, ready to civilize us country folks. She'd strut up my driveway in stilettos, imagine the sound of a drunk tap dancer on gravel offering store-bought cookies and backhanded compliments about my charming cabin. When I turned down her lowball offer to buy my land, that plastic smile of hers turned sharp, like a shark smelling blood. The harassment started: small complaints about my dock being unpermitted, which I shut down with paperwork from 2005. Then she claimed my trout were polluting the watershed. The county inspector laughed so hard he nearly dropped his clipboard, saying my lake was cleaner than their tap water. But Linda was clever. She dug up some dusty 1930s ordinance about recreational water permits and got her buddies on the county board, her old real estate clients, to tweak it so my lake, which predates her entire neighborhood, needed her HOA's approval to exist. That's when she called the sheriff on me for swimming. Big mistake, Linda. You don't mess with a guy who spent 20 years sniffing out crooked city contracts. I started digging. First, I found out her buddy, Carl, the county inspector she sent to hassle me about my commercial fishing operation, was working with expired credentials. The guy was puffing out his chest, threatening $500 daily fines, but one quick record search showed he couldn't legally inspect a lemonade stand. I filed a complaint with the state, and Carl folded faster than a cheap lawn chair, spilling that Linda put him up to it. Then I got a bill from her HOA, $3,000 for lake liability fees, backdated 6 months. She was charging me rent to use my own water. Bold move. But I wasn't just mad, I was curious. I dusted off my old laptop and went full detective mode, pulling public records like I was back in the city office. Here's where it gets juicy. Linda's subdivision, built on a shaky emergency permit from a 2019 flood crisis, set to expire in 6 months. If it wasn't renewed, 34 of her 50 houses would have to be torn down to meet zoning rules. The math was brutal. Monthly HOA fees would triple for the remaining homes, bankrupting half the neighborhood. And Linda knew it. She'd been quietly lobbying to extend the permit, But her little vendetta against me was making enemies of the county officials I'd worked with for years. They remembered me as the guy who caught shady deals, not the one causing them. Then I found the real gold, Linda's HOA financials. Her brother-in-law's landscaping company was pocketing $50,000 a year for work worth $15,000. Pool maintenance, billed daily, done weekly, and $30,000 in legal fees went straight to her personal divorce lawyer. It was like she was treating the HOA like her personal ATM. Linda didn't stop, though. She went full villain, hiring a sketchy PI named Vince who smelled like cheap whiskey and followed me around, snapping photos like I was a mob boss. She spread lies on social media, claiming I was planning to turn my lake into a fish farm that'd tank property values. The lowest blow? She posted that Emily's death wasn't cancer, but suicide, and I was hiding it. That one hit like a punch to the gut, but it also lit a fire. I wasn't just fighting for my lake anymore, I was fighting for Emily's memory. The showdown came at an HOA meeting. Linda tried to hide in her garage, like she thought she could control the room by cramming 50 people into a space meant for her SUV. I walked in with my membership application. Turns out, an old HOA charter clause let me join with 30% voting power because of my land size. Her face when I handed over the paperwork? Like she'd swallowed a lemon whole. "You don't even live here," she screeched. But my lawyer, Rachel, cool as ice, quoted the bylaws chapter and verse. The meeting moved to the community center when folks demanded a real vote, and that's when we dropped the bomb. My neighbor Ellen, a retired librarian with a notebook like a detective's, read out years of Linda's petty fines: $150 for a tacky mailbox, $200 for a birdhouse. Mike, an accountant, showed slides of her financial scams, including $90,000 siphoned to a beach condo she bought while claiming it was for community repairs. And Sarah, an engineer, laid out how Linda's unpermitted drainage changes were flooding my lake with runoff. The room was buzzing, folks whispering, some crying as they realized how long they'd been bullied. Linda lost it, screaming about conspiracies, lunging at the projector like she could make the truth disappear. When I showed proof of her past scams in Nevada and Texas, same playbook, different victims, she tried to bolt. But Deputy Carter was waiting outside with cuffs, and the county prosecutor read her charges: embezzlement, fraud, witness intimidation. As she was led away, still yelling about unfair persecution, the crowd went quiet, then erupted in applause. 6 months later, I'm on my dock, watching kids fish while their parents laugh at our first community barbecue. Linda's in prison, her condo seized to repay the HOA. We've got a new board, Ellen, Mike, and Sarah, and they post every penny online. Fees are down, property values are up, and my lake? It's now Emily's haven, a place for fishing lessons and quiet swims. I even helped pass a state law for HOA transparency, nicknamed Linda's Law. But the real win? Seeing neighbors talk again, like actual humans, not enemies in a turf war. So what do you think? Was Linda just a power-hungry bully, or did she really believe she was saving the neighborhood? Drop your thoughts below. I read every comment. And if you've got your own HOA horror story, share it. You won't believe the one I'm working on next, about a board president who tried to ban a veteran's therapy dog. Hit that subscribe button, because trust me, when good folks fight back with receipts and a little grit, the bad guys don't stand a chance.